Hey, this is Anney.
And Samantha.
And welcome to Stuff I Never Told You, production of iHeartRadio.
All right, we are going to put a content warning from Jump because we are talking sexual assault, rape, and harassment pretty in-depth. So if you want to bypass this, understandable. This Monday Mini is one of those that I am thoroughly anxious about and angry about because I see no change and such reversal in what has happened in our society that we can't ignore it. And there's so much. Okay, so to kind of top it off and tell you why I'm talking about this, a couple of weeks ago, while I was going through my usual doom scrolling, I watched a video of myself on my Furbo cam, not a sponsor, about how often I'm on my phone, and it is constant, and it's disturbing. And the reason I have my Furbo on is so my partner can see myself and my dog. So, but because he's out of town right now, but I don't know why I'm telling you all that. But anyway, all that to say is I got to stop with the doom scrolling. Anyway, going back to the story. So as I was scrolling, a young woman came on my feed talking about her experience as a door dasher. So just to kind of summarize what happened, the video that I initially saw was her explaining that she had taken a delivery, set it at the door, only to notice that the door of the delivery was wide open, which is kind of concerning. If my door was wide open or anybody else's door was wide open, I'd be like, are y'all okay? What's going on? But in that, she could plainly see a man without his pants on or underwear on, they were completely down to his pants, down to his ankles, while he was like covering his face with his arm and his penis was out. And she was like, well, that was weird. And she sent a notice to DoorDash asking to kick him off the app because that was concerning. Like, she didn't say anything to him. She didn't scream or yell. She's just like, well, that was weird, walked away. Because I know for all the DoorDash people that they have to record that they have delivered it. So they're at least taking a picture. I think she turned the camera on when she saw the door open because she was kind of concerned about what was happening. I would too, especially the area looked isolated because I couldn't hear any cars in the background or whatever, because her video has been replaced since then. So I've seen it. Pieces of it. I think I actually saw the whole thing. And I was like, oh, damn, okay, yeah. I could understand why she started filming. Being a female DoorDasher, a young, small female DoorDasher, she was kind of concerned about what's happening, whatever it may have been. But she also posted it online as well to be like, well, that was a weird interaction. And at the same time, she figured out when all this happened that she actually got kicked off DoorDash herself. So she was no longer allowed to deliver, and she was concerned about what was going on. She wasn't given a reason. So she went in and was like trying to figure it out. And she was imploring the viewers to find out what's going on, essentially. Because we know that a lot of people have been taking corporations public on social media to get justice or even just a refund, just a response. And in that, it went like viral very quickly. Everybody was like, we're boycotting DoorDash. How dare you? Da, 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 da. Again, also not a sponsor. I don't think they want to talk about this. And all these things happened in very quick succession, by the way. So that happened. DoorDash made a statement about the fact that they have policies that you cannot dox customers, in which they responded saying that she had posted his address and all these things. So I'm like, okay, that is concerning. You don't want that to happen. At the same time, there's a lot of bad happening here. All of a sudden comes this slander. I don't know how it popped off because it was like a couple of back to back. Like, social media moves quick. If something is picked up, it goes very quickly. New videos are popped up with different influencers talking about how new information has come to light. The door was never actually open. She pushed it open and then took films of him. This would be considered revenge porn. She purposely recorded him in order to get this reaction. And she lied about being assaulted. So this is where I was concerned, number one. Because I was like, wait, what? Okay. If all these other things happen, which is still kind of odd, why would the door be open? If she opened that door, that's still concerning for sure. But also like, this is sexual harassment in different states. That is coded as sexual harassment, could be considered sexual assault. It is public indecency. These are sexual violations that can get you in trouble. Typically, public indecency is a misdemeanor case in most of the places, but if you get enough charges, it's obvious that if you're getting sexually aroused or sexual pleasure from these types of acts, this is a sexual violent act. whether you want to call it that or not. People were really going in on her. How dare you use this language? I'm a survivor. I would never, like, you are making my incident look less. And I was like, that's a weird take. Because I myself, who has also been a victim and a survivor, we've talked about this before, I've also been flashed. And I will tell you, that haunted me. Because I was so upset with myself with the way I reacted, that I didn't feel like I reacted mad enough, that I allowed things to happen with him, like not being punished because I didn't know what to do. I just I froze. And it upset me pretty terribly. Like, I still think about it and get like sick in my stomach in this set. I never interacted with him. We never talked. He did it and walked away. Like, I think I actually honked my horn at him because he was in the middle of the road. Like, it was such an odd occurrence. But I absolutely felt violated. And I still do to this day. It makes me feel nauseous. So it was such a weird response to me that these were the things that were coming out. Like, whether she did the other things, yes, sure. But it comes back around about a few days later where it turns out nobody had proof of this accusation. At first, they were like, she said it in her first post that she opened the door. Nope, never said it. The post that she posted, which she shouldn't have posted. I think she should have definitely given it to DoorDash or to the like cops or whatever. But at the same time, let me backtrack. Let's say that she shouldn't have posted it. I'm not going to actually say that. What I'm going to say is, we know oftentimes if we don't have that type of proof, we're not believed, we being victims and survivors. And even if we do, still not believed. And this was kind of that prime example. And not only that it became completely different. It got a completely different take where people were saying, she said this, she opened the door, she admitted it, and there's never that video. They started photoshopping it to make it look like it was cracked when it was actually wide open. They tried to pretend like she sought him out when it was very in plain view, and that also she was there forever looking for this, when actually it was a very quick incident and her going, well, that's weird. To the fact that, like, we had people with millions of followers saying that she's a liar, and people who are rape apologists coming back with, this is why we can't believe all women. They even compared her to the white woman who had Emmett Till murdered. Like, that's how it went. That this is how this happened. They accused her of the same thing. And I was like, what is happening? What? So I don't get involved in these because, like, it is one of those things where you need to see how it plays out before making any. And then I'm not making any assumptions on any of these things. These are the things that I've followed. And then came like these conversations of people coming back to, hey, you see what's happening here? This is an odd take. Why are y'all talking about this woman like this? She comes on upset. And, like, I will say her video, because I don't always believe, like, people who come on with the crying and the tears. It was kind of, like, shocking. She was screaming into the video talking about, I'm the victim. Why are you doing this to me? And so, like, there's so much emotion and heaviness in this plot. And then came other conversations about, like, could these be bots? People are starting to think that maybe a big corporation have bought bots in order to do this smear campaign against this woman, because they were dropping in subscribers. So this was from a Reddit post, because there's a lot of Reddit posts. You know, Reddit has a whole lot of feels. And this is one of the things they talk about. And they gave an overview of the incident. And they go on to say, on TikTok and Twitter, the overwhelming consensus seems to be that the door was originally just cracked open and DoorDash driver was the one who opened it. Comments claim that 1, she posted a video of actually opening it and going inside. And 2, she made a follow-up video where she talked about opening the door. Literally thousands of comments, some with thousands of likes, claim that this is the case. But the strange part is that no one has any evidence of it. When pressed, people either claim that they saw a video of it on Twitter, Reddit, but cannot produce a link. That video doesn't exist because it was instantly deleted from TikTok. Come on, who's buying that in 2025? Or post an image of wide open door cropped in half to make it look like the door is not wide open. All the options seemed strange. DoorDash or some other entity running a propaganda campaign, people being dumb on the internet and claiming they saw it just because everyone else is claiming the same thing, or it genuinely was a viral video, or that no one saved or screenshotted. So this is like, nothing on the internet goes away. We've talked about this before. People do screenshot things. People do screen record things because that's what they do. There has not been one single video. Her first video, interestingly, shows pretty quickly what happened as she drops it off, opens it up, and it's like the way you open the door, it comes towards you. So it doesn't even go in. You have to pull the door open. And there's 2 doors, by the way. There's an actual door and a screen door, and both are wide open. So all of these things are very odd because they have yet to show any video. And then there's this case that the dude came on and had a whole thing and how he had a Ring video. And in the video that she posts, there's no Ring camera. So it's kind of like, is there? Now, with all of that, it has since come out that people have been doxing him. Like, they did dox him. One specific dude who does this whole thing of like, I don't know. We talked about this. The people call out people who go after people like this, and I've kind of had this mixed feeling. I don't love it. Like there's something about this that's going to bite everybody in the butt. And people who are crusading to do this are not always, to me, genuine and trying to be helpful as much as this is getting them views. But all of that to say, like, someone did look him up. Supposedly, he has another charge with something similar to this, that they found these. I don't know if that's true. I don't know if that's validated. Everybody wants to say it is. But of course, again, watching this in real time, going back and forth of like, well, there's proof that she lied. Here's this. She's not a victim. How dare she use it? Like, it was such a back and forth that I was like, what is happening? And it made me start thinking, as I was researching this, what happened since the beginning of Me Too? Has our attitudes, has the public attitudes, has the justice system changed in believing victims? And, just a quick reminder, this is something Tarana Burke started in 2006, which was brought to social media in 2017 by a celebrity that also coincided with the Time's Up, when a lot of sexual harassment, sexual assaults, violence, rape, and all of these things were happening in different industries, and no one was believing it. And so both of these things came in conjunction. So there are several articles from 2024 talking about how, yes, actually this has helped. It's established some nonprofits and funded some good organizations. And people are starting to do a little more listening, more so than anything else. Victims and survivors are coming out fighting. So that's lovely to see. But the reality of all of that is, just like in this narrative, not much has changed. Survivors are still not being believed. As in fact, Newsweek recently did an article about the issue, and they did report on this saying, according to the National Sexual Violence Resource Center, 81% of women and 41% of men in the U.S. experience some form of sexual harassment or assault. So, like, it is happening. I was trying to get all the data, and I was looking through different ones, but nothing is. The change has been so non-existent that the numbers have not changed. It's 1 in 6 for like rape for women. Like, it's still that same number that we saw. And I know we did a report when I first started, because I was very like, we need to talk about these things. It kind of was the reason we started the podcast together. And it's not changed. In fact, the non-believing women has kind of gotten worse since the administration. I'm going to talk about that in a minute, because that's another rabbit hole that I think we're going to have to look into, and I don't want to, because it's going to make me sad and sick. But also, the other common conversation in this is that the gig workers, including people like DoorDash, are actually the number one people in any industry, in workforce, that are harassed or assaulted. So it's not uncommon to see. As in fact, I saw like article after article about Uber's problem with sexual harassment and how they're not doing anything to address it. So we know Uber, DoorDash, Lyft, all of them kind of go hand in hand in what they do. Like, people are interchangeable in these organizations. And with that, they are not believed. In fact, the amount of cases that has not gone down in any kind of justice, P. Diddy case, was very apparent about how they did not believe women, as well as the baseball player who raped several young girls. He got off with like a slap on the wrist. I just saw another case where he got a sweetheart deal, as in like he just was on probation and wasn't even on the offender list. Brock Turner, I believe he goes by Alan Turner now, was a prime example of what he's doing. And I loved people who were like, hey, he's in this town now. This is what he goes by. This is what he looks like. Remember him. Yes, remember them. But these are prime examples of the fact that the women are still not believed. Like, it's still just as bad as it was. And yeah, with all of this, the quick research brought up a lot of statistics of how the current administration has allowed for this toxic culture to continue, and their policies have put a strain on any forward movement in helping survivors getting any justice. So this is from the National Women's Law Center about what they have kind of done, like loosely about what they've done. So this is their quote. Trump directed his administration to freeze funding, including to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, CDC's Rape Prevention and Education program, leaving organizations confused, causing some to lay off staff and disrupting their ability to maintain basic services. The groups impacted include those that work on sexual violence prevention in schools and colleges. Also, the Department of Justice, DOJ's Office on Violence Against Women, another critical source of funding for groups tackling sexual violence, removed information about grant opportunities from their website, creating additional confusion and concern for service providers. Trump issued executive orders targeting diversity, equity, inclusion initiatives, putting LGBTQIA plus and survivors of color, particularly at risk. Survivor services programs now face a cruel choice. Scrub inclusive languages from their website to stay compliant and keep funding, or stand up for their most vulnerable communities and risk financial ruin. Within weeks of the executive orders, the Office of Management and Budget flagged more than 24 DOJ programs for compliance review that distributed over $500 million to combat sexual violence. And if you want a reminder, yes, the people who are most vulnerable and highest in statistics for sexual violence, for being victims of sexual violence, are people of color and marginalized peoples. Trump's anti-DEI executive orders have caused fear and confusion among survivor advocates. Organizations are left guessing how to navigate murky mandates while maintaining their core values and commitments to LGBTQIA+ and survivors of color. Trump's cut targeting sanctuary cities threatened rape crisis programs in communities that dare to protect immigrants. So especially if you're an immigrant, you have no rights for protection. Like, we already know that. As in fact, there's a lot of concern about what is happening to the women and children in detention centers, and there's no accountability. Like, we know that the one thing John Ossoff did with the first detention center happening, yes, under Obama, were disgusting and really concerning. He got a lot of information, and he's trying to get more information, and a lot of other people are too, and we're not getting it, and it's kind of concerning. Actually, it's very concerning. Trump recently laid off staff and gutted core programs at CDC, including within the divisions of violence prevention. That includes programs focused on rape prevention education. Experts at CDC, including the director of the Office of Family Violence and Prevention Services, who funded and evaluated programs aiming at reducing sexual violence, have been placed on leave, disrupting funding pipelines to rape crisis centers, causing organizations to shift services away from supporting survivors. As a result of this, decades of this crucial work will be lost. So that was all from their site. And by the way, that doesn't include the amount of rape kits that have been ignored and are now done for. So no justice whatsoever. It has only increased the problem. We already know that he did away with a lot of anything that had around women's protection from jump. So that was a thing. And for the fact the biggest concern for the GOP is protecting the children and women, they sure don't care about helping anyone or getting justice for anyone. It says from fulcrum.com, written by Mel Bailey, in the weeks following the 2024 election, the president selected 5 men for senior government positions who have either been accused of rape or sexual misconduct or have been entangled in serious allegations of their mistreatment of women, reflecting a troubling societal acceptance of the disregard for women, their safety, and their rights. A January 2024 study published by JAMA or JAMA Internal Medicine revealed that in the years following the overturn of Roe v. Wade, a Supreme Court decision that stripped women in the U.S. of their constitutional right to access abortion health care, 64,000 pregnancies in 14 U.S. states resulted from rape. Imagine if this figure is extrapolated to include all 50 states and what that means about how many rapes are occurring in the U.S. overall. Despite this alarming data, the conversation around sexual violence remains disturbingly muted. I hate this information. Having to go through and look at all this conversation. And of course, this has not included the conversation about the fact that Epstein files have been, interestingly, blocked by all these same people who are like, save the children, save the children.
Yeah. And who campaigned on, we'll make them public.
We will make the public. And yet they're saying we're not doing that. Mike Johnson, Mr. Godly Man of God. No, that's none of your business.
Yep.
We need to move on.
Yeah. Why are you still talking about that?
But that is exactly what's happening. This is why we have a problem, because they are doing so hard to campaign against any survivors and victims that if those files do come out, they can easily turn around and be like, no, she's a liar. She's a liar. She's a liar. She's a liar. These can't be right. These can't be right. She's not pretty enough, which has been still the most infuriating conversation I've ever heard in my life. I'm like, what the f*** are you talking about? Let me punch you in the dick because you deserve it. And I stand by that. I don't condone violence, but I stand by that conversation. There's a lot going on, and any form of sexual violence, any form of sexual harassment and assault is disgusting. And as a person who worked in social work that can look at patterns, especially when I watched young kids go from a sexual predator to an adult, and trying to get treatment, you can see a clear level of attempt. And oftentimes it starts with lewd behavior as public indecency, voyeurism, touching, grooming. This is that conversation we've talked about, like to see what they can get away with, and then it grows. This is really alarming that people really want to pin survivors against survivors, saying this is not as bad as this, and really think that's okay. Don't get me wrong. There are, like, according to the judicial system, levels of intent versus like levels of harm. But an act of sexual violence is an act of sexual violence. And even though for a while, the public in society wanted to make that a joke, this type of sexual violence, public indecency, exposing themselves as a joke, they should understand that it is very harmful. And I don't know anything about this young lady's history, but like I said, when I was flashed as an adult, seeing that was one of the things that really, like, even talking about it now, I'm a little shaken, like I want to vomit. But like, this is that conversation, like that blows my mind. If nothing else, like if it even had proven that she had opened the door or whatnot, that's a whole different conversation. But one of the biggest things that I'm like, why are we saying, how dare you minimize my experience by having this experience and talking about it? It's such an odd take. And of course, I'm always going to be that person that feels some type of way that other survivors can't support survivors. Like, it's beyond me that you can't do that. There's a lot in this conversation, but I feel like, unfortunately, that has opened a lot of people's eyes, or fortunately. It's just unfortunate that that's what the standing we have in society is, that we are backtracking and seeing many people turn against victims and survivors and are not willing to believe, even in this day and age, even when there's evidence, that they are still willing to demonize the victim and survivor more so than the perpetrator.
Yeah.
Sorry, y'all. Happy Monday.
Yeah, happy Monday. No, it is very important. And we will have to come back and revisit it because there's just so many threads to that conversation that are very, very scary. Mm-hmm. And we're seeing them play out in all kinds of ways. So, listeners, if you have any thoughts or resources about any of this, you can write in and let us know. You can email us at hello@stuffInevertoldyou.com. You can also find us on Blue Sky Moms Podcast or on Instagram and TikTok at Stuff I Never Told You. We're also on YouTube. We have some new merchandise at Cotton Bureau, and we have a book you can get wherever you get your books. Thanks, as always, to our super producer, Christina, our executive producer, Maya, and our contributor, Joey.
Thank you.
And thanks to you for listening. Stuff I Never Told You is a production by iHeartRadio. For more podcasts from iHeartRadio, you can check out the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen to your favorite shows.